5 things I learned from my time in the military about life, making friends, and money. Back in 2015, I had a great opportunity. I was very privileged actually to enlist in the U.S. Army. I joined a special program called MAVNI, which stands for Military Accessions Vital to National Interest. Long story short, they were looking for foreign nationals that could speak a special foreign language that the US military needed. And I happened to speak Mandarin and Malay. The thing about Mandarin is that I wasn't that fluent in it. And the thing about Malay was that even though I spoke growing up and I learned it in school back in Malaysia, I wasn't really confident I could pass. So I had no choice but to learn a new language called Indonesian. And I took tutoring sessions for 2 months, barely passed the Indonesian test for the military, and I got into the US Army. I was a private first class. I enlisted in 2015 in the United States Army Reserve. Now you might be wondering, why is this guy talking about the military and who even are you? My name is Joel Yi, right here, and I actually run a sales training and a sales consulting business. We help sales professionals develop high income skills that help them earn more income doing sales, but we also help entrepreneurs and coaches grow their businesses with more leads, more book calls, and higher conversion rate. I wouldn't be where I am today at 26, running my own business, having made multiple 6 figures doing high ticket sales, and also earning up to $1 million throughout business, right, in general. So the military actually helped tremendously because when I enlisted, back to the story, in 2015, I was 19 years old. So it was about 8 years ago, right, when I joined the US Army Reserves. The first lesson that I learned in the military, which relates to friends, is how crucial your battle buddies, we call them battle buddies, but how crucial your friends and your team members are in life. You see, when I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, this was in February 2016, it was cold. It was the winter in Georgia, and we were basically always out in the middle of nowhere doing training exercises and, doing activities and eating chow together and doing all these different trainings. The issue that I had in the beginning was I was afraid, I was embarrassed, I was shy because maybe I was like a foreign national and everyone else was like American. I didn't feel like I was American enough, so I didn't put in the effort to get to know my other soldiers, right? In the military, when you're training, you have what we call a battle buddy. You have somebody that you have to follow around and they follow you because you have to watch out for each other. And honestly, in the beginning, I wasn't that close. I think that was a problem because I could have had a much more enjoyable experience had I opened up, had I wanted to learn more about his culture, right? But thankfully, after week 3, I realized that I could not make it through this 12-week basic training program without getting to know my battle buddy, without getting to know my platoon. We were an all-male platoon. That comes a lot of shenanigans, comes a lot of fun, also comes a lot of crazy stuff. Just so you know, in basic training, if someone makes a mistake, the whole platoon gets punished for the mistake. So I still remember when soldiers were late to formation, well, guess what? Everybody else does push-ups till that person arrives. That really taught me how people can really affect your life. Just like in business, when you have employees and contractors and team members, even business partners, right? Even your family members, maybe your spouse, maybe your kids working in a business. The truth is, you all have to learn to work together. You have to learn to play nice, but also be respectful, but also be passionate and be intense about getting to your goals. When we were a platoon in Fort Benning, Georgia in 2016, after I would say week 3 or 4, we learned the importance of trusting each other so we all would stop getting punished. Funny story. I'm not gonna name his name, but there was this soldier in a platoon. He was notorious for being late, always late to formation. So he would always get us all in trouble. So basically, right, after a few times, we're not dumb, we just realized that we just gotta get this guy to formation. So we would literally drag him out of bed, force him to put on his uniform, force him to go downstairs, force him to run. And that's what happens when you have camaraderie, when you have, a team, right? You start doing things for the benefit of the team. So the military taught me my first lesson, which is how powerful and how special a team can be when you truly trust each other, right? And to the point where in the military, you have to be willing to basically die for one another. If you get deployed, you go to combat, you're basically trusting each other and having each other's back. Whatever happens, you gotta watch out for your team members, right? Your battle buddies, your comrades, right? And so that was the first lesson I got from the military, how powerful my battle buddies and my team members were. So the second lesson comes from after basic training when we graduated. It was actually an amazing moment for me because I got naturalized as a US citizen. That's right. In 2 months of basic training, or maybe 2.5, I became an American. And it was actually really, really cool because I never thought this day would happen. I got my little US passport. This is something super meaningful to me. I've been dreaming about this my whole life. And I am super grateful for the US government and the military for allowing me to become naturalized. And so the second lesson comes to life, right? Because I would not be a US citizen. I wouldn't even be a commissioned officer in the US military had I not taken opportunities. So the second lesson I learned in life is the difference between risk aversion and risk tolerance. If I had said, you know what, the military is too scary, I might die, it's too hard, right? If I said that back in 2015, guess what? I probably wouldn't join the military. And if I hadn't joined the military, I wouldn't become a US citizen, right? But because I wanted to take that risk, I wanted to fight, I wanted to go through hard training in order to become a citizen, I had to do what I wanted to do. So I took that risk, right? And same thing as becoming a commissioned officer in the US military. After I came back from basic training and my advanced job training, I went to university and I enrolled in ROTC. And that was a commissioning program where US service members or cadets could become commissioned officers. I took another 2 years of risk to basically commission, right? And was it worth it? Of course it was worth it. It was 1000% worth it because having the prestige or having the record of being a commissioned officer, I think it's something really valuable and something I'll treasure for the rest of my life. Second lesson, risk aversion, risk tolerance. I have learned that in business, in life, to be successful, you have to continuously take risk. If you're afraid to take risk, then you're not gonna get any reward. Everything beautiful in life comes from risk. When our moms gave birth to us in labor, that was a risk on them, their health. But what happened? We came out, we were beautiful, right? We were our precious children of our families, right? When you want to travel to Hawaii, well, guess what? You're gonna get on the plane. There's a chance that plane might not make it to Hawaii. You're taking a risk to experience something beautiful. A lot of people are scared of taking risk. They want to play it safe. And I learned that you can't play safe to grow fast, to hit your goals at a young age. Okay, so speaking about going to university and joining the ROTC program, I was taking, before I came back from basic training, I was doing a Bachelor's of Arts in Communication. Great degree. I mean, communications has helped me so much in sales today. But when I came back, I got told by the military that basically, if I wanted to become an officer, I have to go through 2 more years of my bachelor's. They couldn't let me do my master's. So I basically said, well, if I'm gonna spend 2 more years in school, then I might as well go get another degree that is maybe, more valuable. So I actually took a computer science degree. So I graduated from university with 2 bachelor degrees, 1 in communication and 1 in computer science. Why am I telling you this? Well, because the third lesson that I learned about life is that you have to be patient. And the military literally teaches patience. Have you ever imagined laying in a wet, cold, outdoors in the woods, right? On your arms, on your entire body, right? Holding a rifle, pulling security for 2-3 hours without being able to go pee, without being able to stand up, without being able to eat. Imagine standing in formation for hours waiting for a drill ceremony to complete, right? Or for a change of command. All those things that I learned in the military, the third lesson, was it taught me patience. And now how it applies to business was that I had to spend an additional 2 years in school to get to my goals. So if my business doesn't take off after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, does that mean I'm a failure? No. It just means there is a different time, a different season for me, right? It just means that something beautiful is about to happen. And for you as well, it's gonna take more time, and that's okay. I really believe in us running our own races. So think of yourself, when was the last time you felt frustrated? You felt impatient because you weren't getting the results you wanted? Maybe it's because you have to be more patient. My friend, Brandon Carter, he has a great thing that I wanna share with you here. He said this in a speech a few months ago that I was at. And he said, a lot of people in life, they're not patient, they're impatient, and it's because they never flex their patience muscle. Just like when you go to the TSA security, right? The security checkpoint, when you're flying, and TSA is gonna search you and, basically interrogate you and strip you down and pat you down. It's annoying, right? It's frustrating. You gotta wait in line for security, but what does it test? Well, it tests your patience. And so how can you expect to be patient if you never flex your patience muscle. So I was very fortunate and thankful that in the military, it flexed my patience muscle so many times that I was forced to be patient. I'm very impatient by nature. If you ask my wife, you ask my family, you ask my friends, they know me as extremely impatient. But I learned how to be patient through the military, and that has really helped me become a happier person. And I challenge you to also work on your patience muscle. So I commissioned as an officer back in 2018. I got my 2 bachelor's degrees. I was basically lost in life. Now at this point, because I commissioned into the National Guard, this is actually, the gray color here is actually the cyber branch, cybersecurity. So I was an infantry cadet. I was going to infantry basic officer leadership course, right? I was actually going to ranger school. I was slotted for ranger school. I wanted to be badass. I wanted to go to, overseas and fight bad guys. And I was really passionate about America. But I switched to cyber, which I think was a really good move. But I was pretty lost because at that point, when I commissioned as a National Guard officer, it was only part-time. So I had to figure out what full-time job I wanted to do. I applied for a bunch of different jobs. I wanted to be a TSA agent at a local airport. And then I got a job offer from a local university for my IT department, right? Like IT associate. And you know how much that annual pay was? It was $42,000 only. That's right. $42,000 job offer. And I was like, oh my gosh. I spent 6 years of college. I spent over $200,000 of money that my parents had to borrow from family, like my uncle, to tell me that I spent all that time becoming a commissioned officer to only make $40K a year. I was heartbroken, right? I'm not gonna lie. The 4th lesson I learned is that sometimes you have to take life into your own hands. You can't just sit around and pray and hope that one day everything's gonna be okay. Because when I looked at that job offer of 42 grand, I was not okay. I felt really disappointed. Of course, I'm grateful, right? I'm grateful for everything. But I was really upset that I spent all this time just to get this 9-to-5 job offer, right? And there's nothing wrong with 9 to 5. But again, I just felt like I was destined for more. And that's when I met my first mentor, Dan Locke. His ads came on Facebook. Initially, I ignored that. I was like, oh, this guy must be some kind of, Asian scammer, right? I don't know who this is, right? But I basically invested in the high ticket closer program, became a sales professional, made my first 6 figures that first year in doing high ticket sales. So thanks, Dan, for teaching me that. And it's an awesome skill. And so the 4th lesson that I learned, which is what I said, take life into your own hands, is that the military helped me tremendously. But the military isn't my life, isn't my entire life, right? I had to learn to detach from what made me who I was. And this is such a big thing that I think sometimes people don't understand. They have really high attachment to things. They're afraid to let go of what brought them to where they are, right? And I believe now that I learned is that sometimes you have to get rid of what got you here, get rid of it, and to become someone new and something different, you have to be able to embrace a new identity. You have to let go of things. And that was a lesson that I learned, that the military took care of me. I'm super grateful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being ungrateful. I'm super thankful for the US citizenship. And of course, I will always do my best for the country, but it's not gonna take care of me financially. And so I had to take life in my own hands. I had to be detached from the military and embark on my journey as a high ticket sales professional, right? Or as an entrepreneur. So now that I'm almost done with the military, I'll be getting out, I'll be becoming a veteran soon, right? Yay. I learned the final lesson, which I will never forget to this day, and that is the power of leadership. Because I commissioned as an officer, I was very blessed and fortunate enough to go through so many leadership training opportunities. I had to lead a platoon of 40 infantry soldiers. I was a command sergeant major for my battalion at university, so I was in charge of over 70 cadets, right? I did really cool missions, I did really cool things, and I could do all those things through being a leader. So the last thing which I took from the military, and I'll forever carry that on with me, is the leadership part. Leadership is so crucial in business. When you combine leadership with sales, with marketing, right? It becomes amazingly powerful. You can now attract top talent and also retain top talent. Because you know what? The most important way for your business to grow or for you to grow in life is to meet the right who. Just like what Leila Hormozi talks about, you have to meet the right people. And you can't attract the right people if you are a terrible leader because no one wants to be around you. So these are the 5 things I learned from the military. I hope they serve you. Please make sure you subscribe, you like my content, and you stay tuned for the next video. Take care.